If you're on the football team in high school, that means you and about 50 other guys are gonna get together for about 4 months out of the year, every day for about 90 minutes to 2 hours a day. You're gonna take off your comfortable outfits, and you're gonna put on uncomfortable outfits. And then you're gonna go outside, whether it's raining or freezing or really hot or really cold, it doesn't fucking matter. You're gonna go outside in those uncomfortable outfits, and you're gonna run into and away from each other, all in relationship to the movement of a ball. Now, this whole thing is going to happen while you are consistently being yelled at by adults. Now, sometimes it happens right after school. Sometimes it happens at another school. Sometimes they even have people gather around and keep track of the shit you do while you're doing it. Sometimes it's under the lights. Sometimes it's at another school. Sometimes they get kids from another school to do it with you. But technically, all you're really doing is what I described before. Now, your parents, at least in my case, my parents told me that I was representing the community. And they said that if things went well, we could win district. Now listen, I didn't even know I was from a district, let alone know that it was up for fucking grabs, and that somehow I was responsible for attaining it for everybody, and I had to wear this uncomfortable fucking outfit to do it. Right? So one afternoon I'm at football practice, right? And we got this thing that they make you do where they have this sled with pads on it, and you gotta push this sled. And the coach stands on it and yells at you while you push the sled. This never happens during the game, but they make you practice it anyway. Not only do they make you practice it, you gotta wait in line to push this fucking thing. So here I am, waiting in line to push something. And I notice across the field from this field I'm standing in is a whole different group of kids. And these kids have on all the same stuff they wore to school. And I know that they're smoking cigarettes, which I had heard was bad, but there's also some chicks standing around with these guys. So I tap this older guy in front of me and I say, "Who are those guys over there?" He said, "Those are the burnouts, man." I said, "What's a burnout?" He said, "The burnouts hang out in the smoke pit." I said, "What's a smoke pit?" He said, "That's where the burnouts hang out." And I didn't know any more than when I started. So I asked the coach, I said, "Coach, what's a burnout from the smoke pit, man?" And he said, "Oh, Snider, I would hate to see you turn into some kind of burnout from the smoke pit." Sorry, coach. He said, "Son, I'm not trying to disparage any of the other kids at this school, but those kids over there, they're just a bunch of dirty sheep standing around in a field doing nothing." I said, "Well, I don't want to be that." So I went about my business. But then, about a week later, I was in the cafeteria sitting there minding my own business, and sits next to me is this kid that I clearly recognized as a burnout from the smoke pit. And I didn't know what to do. Then he started talking to me, and he seemed as nice as any of the other kids I'd ever met. So I didn't know what to do. And then he said to me, "Hey, Snider, man, have you ever tried psychedelic mushrooms before?" And I said, "No, I never tried nothing like that before." He said, "Would you like to try something like that?" I said, "Sure, I think I might like to try something like that." So he hands me this big handful of psychedelic mushrooms, and I eat them. And about 35 minutes later, I realized that there's no way I'm gonna be able to go to football practice that afternoon. So I decided to go stand in that other field with those other kids. And as I was standing in that field with those other kids, I saw the life that had been planned out for me from a distance for the first time. There they were, man, the football team. And I ain't trying to disparage any of the other kids at the school either. I'm just saying that it could be argued that they look like a bunch of dirty sheep standing around in a field doing nothing too.